The Mobile County Public Schools presents Homeroom.
Hi, and welcome to Homeroom, where we introduce you to the students and the teachers who make Mobile County Public Schools the best schools in the state of Alabama. I'm your host, Renee Phillips. Today we're going to talk about project-based learning. Now, I'm not an educator, but I'm going to take a stab at saying what that is. But it's basically when teachers can take different subjects, such as history and math, and incorporate them together into a lesson where the students may complete some projects, do some critical thinking, problem solving. It makes learning fun. And so joining me right now from Mary B. Austin Elementary School, I have Faye Dawson, who teaches 5th grade, and Maria Gronowski, who is the Emerging Technologies teacher. Did I get it close on that definition, or what is project-based learning?
So really, one of the ways I love to explain what PBL, project-based learning, is teachers are just facilitators. So we kind of introduce the topic, kind of explain what it is we're doing, what we're expecting, but then we step back and the kids really take control of it. And it really does teach so many important life skills. You know, you talked about critical thinking, communication, collaboration, you know, really working together for that final product.
And a lot of the PBL, there's a driving question to lead the project or to lead the activities. We do our best when we're planning them out to incorporate as many of the standards from that quarter or that semester into the project, so they're still getting what they need as far as what's being required for us to teach to them, but they're getting it in a different way. It's not just a paper pencil, it's not just reading from a book. They're taking that standard and finding a way to apply it to something where they can eventually give back.
So they have the same curriculum and standards, but you're making it more fun, more hands-on, right? And so give us an example of what you might do with that. What's a good project-based learning lesson?
So our 5th graders currently are wrapping up Shark Tank, and it's our big culminating project, and it's really special for them because it's the last one that they do before they leave Austin to go to middle school. And you know, it's really talked up, it's really hyped up, so they're fully aware of the idea of it before they come to 5th grade.
Well, they hear about that in kindergarten,
oh
don't
yeah,
they?
they hear about it and they are excited. But it's, like you said, I mean, we're pulling in reading standards, we're pulling in math, we're pulling in science, we're pulling in writing, and so many grades come from that as well.
And Shark Tank's like the TV show, right? So
Yes.
they group together as a team and come up with a concept and form a company, or
so like Maria said, there's always a driving question, or you know, what problem are you trying to solve? And so with our 5th graders, we're pulling in our science standards and teaching the environment through this business, and then their business good or service, whatever they're providing, has to be environmentally friendly in some way.
Do they come up with a business plan too? Like how much they would
Everything.
sell
They come
it,
up
the
with
profit?
the plan, the marketing, their financial budgets. You know, we practice speaking and listening skills because then they have to give the pitch to the judges. We have outside people come in to judge, so it's really a neat project that comes together.
Well, and outside of the classroom, I'm one of the lab teachers at our school, so I'm able to help out in making prototypes or 3D prints of their logos that they've designed. Some of them tried to make a model of whatever their good might be. We've also pulled them into the lab to use the green screen, and so they can film their commercials and choose what they want to have behind them, or that we can take them, if the teachers can't leave the classroom. We had a group that filmed outside in the courtyard, so we're able to go out there and help out that way as well.
Bringing in all the different things they're learning.
Yes.
And another one that you do that I've seen before that's fun is the Colonial Day. So tell us about that. It's not just something they're reading about in a book. They're doing all kinds of activities.
So Colonial Day is a more recent one. This is the 2nd year that we did this with our 5th graders, and it was a lot of fun. You know, these kids are growing up in a generation. We've got a ton of Hamilton fans, so they're really already immersed in this history and singing the songs. And we tied it in with the book study. They were reading Johnny Tremain. And then at the time, I'm also teaching all of our social studies standards about the Revolutionary War, and it was really fun. And the day of Colonial Day, they got to come dressed, you know, in colonial costumes, which were really fun to see how creative they were. And we just did all sorts of activities. They made butter and math, so then they're, you know, practicing math skills of adding the correct amounts. We did, you know, quill writing and silhouette drawing, and we played some different colonial games, which
Those were funny.
They
to
were
watch.
funny to watch. Yeah.
I saw some of those. And then the butter was funny because the kids didn't think they needed to add much salt. And what did they do? They took a marble
And
and
they're
shook
shaking it in a little, like, little baby food jar, like a small mason jar. And it was funny. I mean, they're like, man, is this really what it used to be like? And we're like, well, yeah, like we didn't have all the luxuries that we have today. So it was definitely a different way of life.
So think about that next time you're cooking. And you're involved in all the different grades as they do. And I used to teach second grade. So what else are they doing? Like the fairy tale?
So so on each different grade level, it's almost completely different. Our kindergartners, they're brand new, and so I say they try to keep it basic, but they still want to introduce that whole concept of a PBL to them. They're actually working right now on they'll have their kindergarten fashion show in a couple of weeks, and it's all about what they want to be when they grow up. So they spend a lot of time talking about community helpers, and they have different people that might come in and speak in the classroom. They read about community helpers. And so their culminating event, the fashion show, the kids come dressed as what they want to be, but they're in adult-sized clothing, and it's the cutest thing to watch these kids try and walk around in these full outfits.
Giant shoes.
Giant shoes, yeah. And it's like they're walking a red carpet as they get to do this. And then
Such a great alternative to a kindergarten graduation.
Yeah.
I know my children both went to Mary B. Austin, and so one of my sons was a Army guy. And the other one was a scuba diver. But they look and you want to cry because it's their voice telling you what they want to be when they grow up.
Yes, and the parents' reactions are always fun to watch with that one. Our first graders, they've had a year of it under their belt, and so they do a couple of different things. One of my favorite ones when I taught first grade was our Money Smart unit. So the driving question was, how can I become money smart? And so we know now, like younger and younger, you have to become financially smart and know what to do once you get out from under your parents' house. So we teach them early on all about earning, spending, saving, donating. And so the kids are asked to do chores at home to earn money. And so the money that they earn, we've done a few different projects with it, but a lot of it is they use that money on a walking field trip around the community that our school is set in the village of Spring Hill. And so they're spending that money back in the community where they live.
They walk to Rouse's and learn about a grocery store.
They learn,
and,
Went to the bakery.
And a lot of times, they go to the grocery store with their parents, but they might not pay attention. They're sitting in the cart or maybe on a device or something and not really looking around the grocery store, or they don't get to do the transaction at the register. So whenever they take this walking field trip, it's the first graders who are paying for their cookie and their drink. And so they have to make sure they have their money ready to pay. We've also given money back to the community or donated an item. Maybe they purchased when we did it in the fall, they purchased a pumpkin and decorated it, and then brought those pumpkins around the village of Spring Hill so that they could be decorated for the fall.
Those are great. And I do want to mention, we're about to have to break for commercial, but the fairy tale ball, they incorporate reading fairy tales and folklores. They do a play, and then they each make a product based on a fairy tale and try to sell it.
Yes.
So cool.
So in second grade, Fairy Tale Market Day, we're studying all the different fairy tales, folk tales, fables, and that I feel like really prepares them for Shark Tank because they are getting, their feet wet with entrepreneurship and coming up with a business. But the twist there is it's got to be designed around a fairy tale story.
Which I love because it's their imagination.
It is.
And the teamwork. So I love what you guys are doing. You're doing such a great job, and I know the kids enjoy it too. So thank you for all that you're doing to make learning fun through the project-based learning. We have to break for commercial, and when we come back, I'm going to introduce you to some more of our schools that are incorporating project-based learning. So stay tuned.
At any given time, trauma can happen.
And how we deal with it.
And how we make peace with it.
Starts with me.
With Project Thrive, I'm taking a pledge.
I pledge to believe and support others experiencing trauma.
Will you join Project Thrive and its team of partners who are working together to address issues of trauma? Take the pledge, take a stand, and let's make Mobile a trauma-informed community.
High school students, are you looking for a way to become a better leader? then the Junior Officers Training Corps may be what you're seeking. If you would like to develop self-reliance, learn ways to be more responsible, and improve your communication skills, you can do that and more when you register for the Junior Officers Training Corps. The JROTC program is available to all high school students in Mobile County. JROTC, we build a better you.
Hi, and welcome back to Homeroom. Today we're talking about project-based learning, which is a strategy that our teachers use to incorporate different areas of our curriculum, such as math and social studies and science, and they get the students working towards a project where they have a real-world problem and they find a solution. It's very interactive, lots of fun, but they're learning at the same time. So joining me now I have from Sims Elementary, Melanie Stevenson and Hannah Hindman, so welcome.
Thank you.
So Sims Elementary, you guys are doing all kinds of fun learning, right?
Yes. We have all sorts of things going on all the time. We're really great, like just keeping the kids engaged, and we're always finding opportunities and fun things for them to do. Yes.
And you teach kindergarten.
I do teach kindergarten.
So they probably don't even know what strategies you're using, they just know it's fun, right?
They just know it's fun. They're just ready to jump in and go. So it's all good in kindergarten. As long as you can make it fun, they're engaged and they're with you.
Yeah, never a dull moment.
No.
And Ms. Stevenson, you teach PACE, so tell our viewers what PACE is.
PACE is our gifted program, so I teach 3rd through 5th grade students who have qualified for the service, and in our class we have a separate curriculum, and we tend to focus on things that they wouldn't normally see until older grades, middle school or high school, and we do a lot of integration in there, and we do a lot of projects in there as well.
Yeah, the integration is what makes it fun, and that's kind of neat that you can do it at that PACE level with the gifted students.
Yes.
But we can do project-based learning all the way down to kindergarten.
Yes. Well, and Melanie's been a great resource too, to help, like, especially with some of my higher flyers who need to be more engaged and they need to be more challenged even at such a young age. She's been a great wealth of knowledge to pull from too.
That's great. And so give us an example. You were showing me you have a flyer that one of your students made. So walk us through this about the coral reef.
Yes, so we do a unit on Australia, and we study the uniqueness of the country and the organisms there. And coral is one of those organisms, and the students typically don't know a whole lot about it. So they do a research project on the coral, they learn about it, and then they take on the role of an eco tour guide. So they are now the owner of a tour company, and their job is to take people out to the reef. But they want to make sure that their customers are not causing damage to the reef, and they know some safe ways to go to tour and also keep the coral healthy.
So they're learning science,
Yes.
and that's especially true or good for us living on the coast because we have coral in our waters.
Yes.
Not quite like the Great Barrier
And
Reef.
we do a lot of geography with this unit as well.
Yeah.
So they really enjoy it, and they don't realize that coral is a living thing. So.
And so when you're teaching them about Australia, do they get to learn about the culture and the geography?
Yes, we do a lot of that. The different animals, the different culture, and also problems that they have in Australia that they don't realize here. That kangaroos are a nuisance there to them. So we do talk about that as well.
No, not kangaroos. They're so cute. I bet that the kids are devastated when they hear that.
They are.
But that environmental learning about our world is important too, and the impact that we have on the environment and on the corals. So that's really cool. So they don't even know that it's history, it's geography, it's science, and it's a little entrepreneurship too.
Yes.
So they create the flyers?
Yes, they do these online, and then we can print them out, and they can share them, and it's just their little intro to their business.
Our graphic artists.
Yes.
So they do that, I'm sure, on computer, and you were telling me that you do a lot of technology integration, and at Sims y'all are doing a whole study on it, right, to get some great technology.
Yes, so at the beginning of the year, our principal, Miss Jennifer Fettner, started us off as a book study. So we had a book tasting where she had like a menu all prepared of different books and questions we could ask. So we got to go around and sample different books and see which one we'd like to read. So each of us chose a technology-based book, and we meet with our groups and just kind of delve really deep into the content and choose different strategies. So I'm in a group with a 2nd and a 5th grade and a 3rd grade teacher. So we kind of get to really see how the technology use can grow over time and how we can implement things in different ways.
cool.
It's really neat to be able to get to talk to different people from other grade levels and see their experiences as well.
And one thing, I'm a parent, we have a lot of parents who watch our show. We love the technology, it's a tool, but then we don't need to just be glued to the computers, right? So you're learning how to use it as a great academic enhancement, right?
Right. Well, and a lot of the stuff we do in kindergarten, the technology is the enhancement. So we're still trying to encourage a lot of like penmanship and writing and creating, but technology is really great to integrate. So it's not completely all gone from pen and paper, and their creations to take home and be proud of.
And I think technology for them especially is the motivator.
Yeah.
Like you introduce it and they get into the project, but then when you're like, okay, well, we're going to get on the computer and add to it, that really gets their attention, especially at that age, I think.
Yes, and for our Tech or Treat project, which is a technology project we did based off of our book study for around Halloween time, I did QR code centers, and so the kids would get their iPad and they'd go and scan the center, and it had whatever activity they needed to do, and they were just so into it, so engaged. They love to use any of our technology whenever they can.
So tell us about that. That was a Halloween theme.
Yes, so I had a couple of, it was probably 4 or 5 different centers where they would use like technology, but they would also have something right there to use as well, like manipulatives, or like there was a math answer sheet and some things for them to use. One of the centers I think was like a directed drawing, so they would scan the QR code, they would go and watch the video, and they could draw and then write about what they drew.
So fun. So,
yes.
And I love they're still learning their writing skills.
Yes.
Yes. And I know, speaking of writing, you were telling me that they do books. Like your classroom does a book, and then but the individual students can do a book. So tell us about that. They actually are authors.
This year, Ms. Fettner purchased a program for us, Book Creator, and it is an online digital book creation program. And the students are able to create books. So, for example, my students created books using Greek and Latin word parts. So their job was to create new creatures or new inventions using word parts. And they can go on and they are able to illustrate their book. And of course, this is a print copy, but the digital copy can be shared in a library so that my students can go on and read each other's books. And we can also share those with the parents.
So they're learning foreign language.
Yes.
So show me one of the words. So they invented like a word.
Yes.
I can't
Her
even say
word
that.
was aqua arachnoseed. And it is a device, because we were learning about archaeology. So this can go in water and dig up artifacts.
Cool.
Because it says an invention that allows you to dig up artifacts underwater, because aqua is found in water, and then it's ancient and then moved.
So you have an inventor and a linguist.
Yes.
And then in your class you do one book together, right?
Yes. Well, and I usually have a template to kind of scaffold the activity for my students, but they are really great about, they really try. Like the technology is the big motivator, and they want to be able to make a really neat product. So a few weeks ago we made bread after reading The Little Red Hen, and after reading it and making the bread, we wrote about it. So I had a template for their books where they could edit it, but a lot of them just went off and they could go and do their own thing. So they talked about how we baked the bread, how we kneaded the bread. They talked about the ingredients like the yeast and the water, and they really just kind of blew us away with how well they did.
That is cool. So you're really bringing the book to life.
Yes.
And then they're learning the science and the cooking, and then they have a product that they can share. So that's fantastic. Well, thank you for everything that you're doing at Sims Elementary School for our kids. I know you're making learning fun. And we have to break for commercial, but stay tuned for Homeroom.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ayla, hi.
Oh, hi, Sierra. How are you?
Good. How are things?
Things couldn't be better.
What do you mean?
Well, I just started this new job as a school teacher with the Mobile County Public Schools, and it has been a life changer. Great benefits, the hours are great, and great students. Just overall, it's a great opportunity.
Oh, wow, that sounds great. Yeah. I'm gonna look into that.
You should.
For more information, visit mcpss.com/job opportunities.
There's a lot to like about Mobile County Public Schools.
What I enjoy about Mobile County School is the extra attention my teachers give us to help us learn.
Teachers are liking their access to technology, and students are liking the quality of their education.
I like the technology that's been incorporated into my education.
And since 1826, you have trusted us to prepare your child for their future, and we like that. Mobile County Public Schools. We are learning today, leading tomorrow.
When parents are involved in school, you get more of this and less of this.
Hi, and welcome back to Homeroom. Today we're talking about project-based learning, which is a strategy that teachers use to integrate different parts of their curriculum to make learning fun and to help students learn how to solve real-world problems. So joining me from Tanner Williams Elementary, I have Kara Middleton and Colette Jackson. And Kara, you are a media specialist, and Colette, you teach pre-K, so that sounds like fun. So first, tell us, if people may not know where Tanner Williams is, it's a true definition of a community school right at the Mississippi line. What's it like teaching at Tanner Williams?
So it's unique. We try to connect our community and the heritage in most of our projects. So that's actually how our students start project-based learning in kindergarten, and then it expands each year. But the students learn about the role that our little bitty community plays in our world. And so we take a virtual tour of the community, and they learn about farms in the area, nurseries, and different other businesses that are in the area, and our churches are very supportive. And most of the projects that we're going to talk about, our experts that help us along the way are our community members.
And even at the pre-K level, you were telling me, Colette, that you used to teach 2nd and 3rd grade, now you're in pre-K, but they're learning about their community through some of your centers. Can you tell us about that?
Yes. We take some my centers, my dramatic play centers, and turn them into more of a community helper centers. We have a flower shop right now going on, and so they know they are the customer or they are the the retailer, and they make the bouquets. They are learning to put the things together. They sort the things by colors. They have a little cash register, so they're learning to use the money and play those different roles and to work together. I have a little planting station, so they're learning how to, the seeds it has to start with the seeds, and then you get your products, and then we'll change into like a post office and different things like that, a veterinarian center, a doctor's office, for them to learn those roles in the community.
So they're learning all about our community, and that's kind of like the introduction to the project-based learning that they'll get as they go up to 5th grade, right?
Yes, and even our 2nd graders just completed a plant sale where they were responsible for purchasing seeds that would grow successfully in our area with our weather conditions. They raised them, measured them, they took complete care of them. They did advertisements and posters to let the community know that we were having a plant sale, and then they added up their expenses and determined the profit that they made. And the money that our 2nd graders make off the plant sale goes back into our fund that helps us fund other projects. So it's neat to see that it starts out as simple as the flower shop in pre-K and grows as students get older.
And then they're doing it because they're learning science, math, marketing, business.
And it's meaningful because they did it. They know that they were responsible for those tomatoes.
That is so fun because, when you can grow something yourself and see it. And I know you have some pictures that you want to show us of some of the project learning in action.
Sure. Yes.
So let's show those pictures and talk about what they're doing.
So this is a 1st grade group. As part of our community project, they learn the different jobs that it takes to work on a dairy farm, and they were running a milk test. So they sampled milk from a cow, and they were able to see if her milk was able to go into the milk tank or if it was going to be kept out. These 1st graders are applying what they've learned about the state of Alabama. So our standard is recreational and occupational hobbies and careers. And so they learn what is able to happen in the northern part of the state because of hiking and mountains and waterfalls, and the southern part of the state with our oceans. And then the boys working on the computer were part of a 2nd grade project where they were tracking milk from our community, our dairy farm, across the United States. So they are mapping out MapQuest to see the route that the trucker actually took, and if he changed time zones, how many times he would have to stop to rest, challenges he could encounter along the way. And throughout the project, we did live FaceTime with the trucker. And so he answered their questions and told them about the weather that he had seen. And so they were learning about needs and wants and the impact that a product can have on a community. So they were seeing how our community produces this milk, then it's hauled to a processing facility, and then it's transported again before it's available for customers in the store. And so a lot was connected in that project. So a lot of math with time.
And real world learning. So where does the milk from Tanner Williams go? Like
Yes,
where's it in
so
our
there are
country?
times that it's in New Mexico. Most often it's Kosciuszko, Mississippi, but we talked about why. Sometimes it's rerouted based on the needs.
The need and who's in the demand for milk.
And purchases.
And how neat to see that something that's created in your community. And do they like tasting the milk?
So they have made butter along the way, they've made ice cream along the way, and so it's different projects set in different grade levels.
Yeah.
But yes, they get a full view of how it all comes full circle.
And that's relatable to them because they see that these are their parents and grandparents who've made a living off of this and how far-reaching it is. So tell me too, you were talking about this immigration project. That sounds like a really fun experience and a great learning experience.
Third grade does a big immigration project, and it starts off with taking our social studies standards and putting it into a big project for them to learn and making it more interesting than just exports, imports, and immigration. So we start off with asking them, why did people immigrate, or why do people still immigrate today? And then it transforms into them finding out about their family ancestry and where did their parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, where did they immigrate from?
So they interview their actual family.
They
and find this out?
they
fun.
do, and it's interesting to find out. Some of them find out that their last names actually came from them being in that occupation and different things like that. And then they research the country that they immigrate from. So there's lots of integration with technology, social studies, and reading. History. We do lots of books. I read lots and lots of books to them, and so does the third grade teachers now about immigration, stories about immigration. And then they make a final project. And the final project is left up to them of how they want to display it. It can be digital, it can be videos, it can be pictures, it can be a poster, it can be a brochure, however they want to create that.
And then the whole school gets involved, and they have an immigration exercise where they come through Ellis Island.
Yes.
And they're either accepted or not.
Yes, and they have to receive stamps to get clearance to move on to the next port.
Yes. Yep.
And you were telling me too, like they can make it all the way across the ocean into America, but then if they have a disease or something, it's like it really was, like they're told they can't come.
Right. We have our nurse and some of our other bookkeeper and things, they get involved with the process, and so they will go through the medical room and have to be examined just like they would at Ellis Island. And if they have anything, then they were sent to a deportation room, and they would have to be checked again to see if they were going to be allowed in.
And how did the students react? Are they vested in this?
Yes, and we prepare them ahead of time to understand that if they are deported, they really are going to exit the simulation, and they're going into this room. And we talk with the kids ahead of time that are going to be chosen for that, and so they're aware. And and then, but they really do realize how it would feel for someone to be talking to you that you can't understand, or telling you that you have something that you're not even aware that you're carrying.
Well, that's such a great project. So thank you for making learning very interesting for our students at Tanner Williams. That's all the time that we have. We'll see you next time on Homeroom.